With a partial government shutdown just days away, there's little progress so far from the U.S. Congress on spending bills. Political chaos remains at the forefront as lawmakers disagree on funding and aid to U.S. allies. And infighting by Republicans, who control the House of Representatives, is in the spotlight.
I hope that in the coming days, serious-minded House Republicans can work with Democrats to find a path out of the shutdown threat.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
We realize the Speaker of the House is in a difficult position, but he must reject the MAGA hard right.
The spending bill is being held up by a group of conservative hardliners who have formed their own opposition party within Republican ranks. They want to see spending cuts and policy positions injected into how dollars are spent, and have brought the government to the brink of a shutdown or a partial shutdown 3 times in the past 6 months.
The bill, as amended, passes.
Now, some are even threatening to oust Mike Johnson as Speaker if he allows a vote on the $95 billion foreign aid bill that passed the Senate with overwhelming bipartisan support. So far, Johnson has resisted putting up the aid bill for a vote in the House. That's led to the White House stepping up its personal attacks on Johnson for blocking bills that President Joe Biden supports.
I want to thank the leadership here today. We got a lot of work to do.
On Tuesday, Biden met with top Democrats and Republicans in Congress to talk about aid to Ukraine, Israel, and the looming shutdown.
The shutdown would damage the economy significantly, and I think we all agree to that, and we need bipartisan solutions.
After about an hour, there was optimism that a government shutdown would be avoided. House Speaker Johnson.
We believe that we can get to agreement on these issues and prevent a government shutdown, and that's our first responsibility.
As the government funding deadline inches closer, some lawmakers worry that hardline demands for policy riders that restrict access to abortion, defund diversity programs, and promote gun rights could cause further delay.
Well, it was both a productive and an intense meeting. Productive meeting on the government shutdown. We are making good progress. We made it very clear. The Speaker said unequivocally he wants to avoid a government shutdown. We made it clear that that means not letting any of the government appropriations bills lapse, which means you need some CRs to get that done. But we're making good progress, and we're hopeful we can get this done really quickly. There are a little back and forth on different issues that different people want, but I don't think those are insurmountable. The fact that that we made it so clear that we can't have the shutdown because it hurts so many people in so many different ways, even for a short period of time, was very apparent in the room. And the Speaker did not reject that. He said he wants to avoid a government shutdown. So that was very heartening. The meeting on Ukraine was one of the most intense I have ever encountered in my many meetings in the Oval Office. The 4 of us, all together, led. First person to speak was Leader McConnell. Well, the 5 of us, the President, the Vice President, Leader McConnell, Leader Jeffries, and myself, made it so clear how vital this was to the United States. This was so important. And that we couldn't afford to wait a month or 2 months or 3 months because we would, in all likelihood, lose the war. NATO would be fractured at best. Allies would turn away from the United States. And the boldest leaders, the boldest autocrats of the world, the Putins, the Xis, the presidents of North Korea. I like the governor of North Carolina, actually. The presidents of North Korea and Iran would be emboldened, thinking that the United States was this soft, fat country that lost its way and would take advantage. And so we said to the Speaker, get it done. I told him this is one of the moments, I said, I've been around here a long time. It's maybe 4 or 5 times that history is looking over your shoulder. And if you don't do the right thing, whatever the immediate politics are, you will regret it. I told him 2 years from now and every year after that. Because really it's in his hands. It's in his hands. We told him how important it was. It was passionate. I talked about my trip to Ukraine, where I met soldiers who had Russian artillery in range with the drones they have, but had no ammunition to fire at them. We talked about 4 brigades who were ready to go, Ukrainian, no arms, and how serious the lack of arms was. And it was the consensus in that room: Zelensky and Ukraine will lose the war if we don't get the arms and don't get them quickly. The speaker brought up the border. We made it very clear to him that we want to do something real on border, and in fact, we Democrats in the Senate supported a border bill that very conservative groups, including the Border Patrol agents, the Wall Street Journal editorial page, and Chamber of Commerce were for, but said to hold up Ukraine, which, as he admitted, was a national imperative, because you can't do something else which we all would work on, was a non sequitur. There was no logic. There's a logic to solving the border. We want to solve it.
Thank you. Thank you all for staying. We had a couple of meetings there. It was frank and honest. I think we need more frank and honest conversations on Capitol Hill, so I was happy to participate in this. We did that as a group, and then I had a one-on-one for a period of time with the President, just he and I in the Oval Office. Let me say this. When I showed up today, my purpose was to express what I believe is the obvious truth, and that is that we must take care of America's needs first. When you talk about America's needs, you have to talk first about our open border. I've been, I believe, in maybe 20-something states over the last several weeks, going around the country, appearing at events with my colleagues, and we're hearing from the American people of all parties and all persuasions in all cities and all states who feel this acutely. They understand the catastrophe at the border is affecting everyone, and it is top of mind for all the American people for that reason. So I brought that issue up repeatedly today in that room, and again one-on-one with the President. I think that's our responsibility to bring that up. The other big priority for our country, of course, is the funding of our government. And we have been working in good faith around the clock every single day for months and weeks, and over the last several days, quite literally around the clock, to get that job done. We're very optimistic. I hope that the other leaders came out here and told you the same. We believe that we can get to agreement on these issues and prevent a government shutdown, and that's our first responsibility. You also heard, I'm sure, that there was discussion about the supplemental spending package, and I was very clear with the President and all those in the room that the House is actively pursuing and investigating all the various options on that, and we will address that in a timely manner. But again, the first priority of the country is our border and making sure it's secure. I believe the President can take executive authority right now today to change that, and I told him that again today in person, as I've said to him many times, publicly and privately over the last several weeks. It's time for action. It is a catastrophe, and it must stop. And we will get the government funded, and we'll keep working on that. So we'll have more for you soon.
Your mind on government funding.
Well, thanks for all being here. Look, I want to thank the leaders for being here today. We got a lot of work to do. We got to figure out how we're going to keep funding the government, which is an important problem, an important solution we need to find, and I think we can do that. And Ukraine, I think the need is urgent. I hope we get to speak to that a little bit. And I think the consequences of inaction every day in Ukraine are dire. I've been speaking to some of our G7 partners, and you just got back, Chuck. They're very concerned, and also we need to we need to, in terms of the supplemental, we need to deal with the Israeli portion. But that also contains a significant portion having to do with humanitarian assistance into the Palestinian areas, which I think is important. And we have to replenish the air defenses for Israel, and we have to work on making sure they don't face the threat from, they can face the threat from what's going on in the Middle East, not just from Hamas, but from Iran. And government funding, I'm sure you guys had all of that all taken care of, but all kidding aside, I think that it's Congress's responsibility to fund the government. We got to get about doing a shutdown would damage the economy significantly, and I think we all agree to that, and we need a bipartisan solution. So I want to hear from the group, and I want to hear from all of you here. So thank you all for coming. That's what we're going to be talking about.